Hey, Carl. I just got a call from Disney.
This is Steven Lisberger. I wrote and directed the original Tron, and Disney invited me recently to come out and see the archives, which I haven't seen in decades now. And I invited my son to join me. Carl has been involved with Tron almost his whole life. He knows Jeff Bridges, he knows executives at Disney, so he's moved through the spectrum of all things Tron.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Great, bye.
This is Carl Lisberger, Steven Lisberger's son. My whole life I've been telling people that my dad was the writer and director of the original Tron, which has been fun.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Carl.
I grew up walking down my hallway past a piece of concept art for Tron. So the images that went on to inspire the movie are embedded deep in my conscious mind. So from the get-go, I've been not only my dad's son, but a huge fan of his movie.
So what do you think's going to be out there at the archives?
It should be incredible. They'll have all the production stills taken during the principal photography, a lot of transparencies, color tests.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's notebooks full of stuff.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see pictures of my dad when he was so young making the film.
Wow. The Mouse Factory. I want the Mickey Mouse Club. I grew up on that.
It's been really interesting to see Carl grow up with Tron because his appreciation of it has gone through a spectrum of understanding.
This is what we want, Tron right here.
And in some ways, I think his perspective now is more comprehensive than mine, but he brings a perspective of people who have grown up with all things digital, and it's part of their lives now.
Okay, let's see. So these are large color negatives.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you can see here we are, and I think that was my office, I believe, right there. Oh, it is my office. Because look, that's that bamboo pencil holder.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right there.
That bamboo pencil
Yeah.
holders in your office
Yeah,
at home right
yeah.
now. Well, it's appropriate that it's the pencil holder survived all these years.
Here's your old man,
Wow.
right there.
You look like you're about 17 in that picture. You're shockingly young in that picture.
I had my 30th birthday party on the Tron set.
Oh my God.
Black and white Mickey cake. And I was 29 when we started shooting the film, and the head of the studio was 29 years old.
This is, it just occurred to me, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a picture of you looking through a camera, or a movie camera anyway.
Movie cameras have gone from the size of washing machines down to these little cannons that are now this big.
I'm not sure I actually saw the entire film until when I was maybe 12 or 13 years old. I think I can honestly say that it would be a really important movie to me, even if I didn't have a personal connection to it.
Here's the gang. That's Roger and Sid, Mobius.
Oh, look
and
at Sid.
Peter. Yeah, look at Sid. One of the best things about working on the film was that Disney said if you could have, you know, any talent in the world in terms of artists, who would you have? And we got those people all through the production. And it made a huge difference in terms of how much confidence we had working on the picture. And Sid is so talented. I told Sid that there must be 20 million people walking around with no talent at all so that he could have as much as he has. Mobius. Mobius was the master.
Where did you know about Mobius from? Like, what?
Heavy
Mobius'
metal,
work?
I mean, airtight garage, and you know, he was a legend at the time already. And Mobius had done storyboard work for on Holy Mountain and El Topo.
Oh, I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And when he came, we put him in a hotel in Westwood, and we drove him to the studio every day, and we really treated him like artistic royalty. And at the end of about 5 weeks, he said, I have to go home. If you keep treating me this well, it'll corrupt my soul.
He may be the only person who's ever said that in Los Angeles.
That's true. That's a nice shot of Cindy. Yeah. She looks good there. Very soulful. There he is. Look at Bruce. Practical programmer, it says. And here's the iconic image of Bruce holding the disc over his head, which, you know, this has really taken off over the years as an image, and I think it really communicates, you know, one of the main themes of the film. This idea of trying to communicate with the best in yourself. I mean, for the programs, they think users know everything.
Right.
Like what we all go through, trying to communicate with the best in ourselves.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, we used real Frisbees. Those were store-bought Frisbees.
The Frisbee expert was on.
Yeah,
on
we
set.
had our own Frisbee champion, Frisbee stuntman.
When I was a kid, and you taught me the backhand Frisbee throw, which I think you learned from
Sam
him.
taught me that move too. Jeff.
Oof, check the hair out.
I know, there's a lot of it.
Yeah, really.
Here's a good picture of Jeff.
So, what film had he just done?
Well, I'd seen him in a bunch of films. He already had a reputation for being a really good actor. And when we would call up actors and say we want to do a movie about cyberspace with, you know, game programs, people would just hang up the phone. And it was really only Jeff who came in and said, I read the script, it's really far out, I want to do this. And I was so excited, and I said, yeah, you've got the gig. And I lost track of the fact that, of course, I couldn't say that without talking to the studio first or anybody else. So, but
he got the gig anyway.
Yeah, and he got it right from the beginning, and he made the most of it, and he knew so much. It was a little difficult when we realized that he and Bruce were similar physical types, and the original plan was that Flynn was going to be the smaller, sort of wiry guy, and Tron was supposed to be more of a Clint Eastwood. And
you can see in these pictures, they're the exact same height.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's see what's in this one. These are close-ups of some of the characters.
Look at this outfit.
That were inspired by Sid. This particular character was called Shower Curtain Lady.
Some of the costumes are very different from the standard costume.
It's true. That was Sid's work. This was one of the villages, a girl that everybody had a crush on the set. Oh, here's Jeff dancing with her.
Who's this with this?
Who's that?
Crazy hair.
That's Bruce. People think it was an aesthetic decision that we weren't going to have hair in the film, but it turned out we couldn't have hair in the film. We couldn't technically mat the hair.
Right.
We didn't have the capability. So the decision had to be made early on in the process that we were going to eliminate the hair. I like this feel of Clue. This is so clearly a Mobius design, and it has that Mobius magic to it.
Yeah. And that elegance.
You know, compared to
Richard with the Sharpie.
Yeah.
You've always told me he had a Sharpie and he was going through the costumes, but I've never actually seen that.
People don't realize how we put these costumes together at the last moment with very little money. I mean, you know, Richard was always applying black tape, photo tape to them and working with a Sharpie. And compared to the costumes on Tron Legacy now, which is like NASA.
When the actors were wearing these costumes, did they know how they were going to look in the finished film?
They didn't know how they were going to look, but we never saw examples of what composited frames were going to look like till we were halfway through shooting the film.
Wow. So was that a big deal when those first frames came out?
I actually still have the first couple frames that were handed to me that were composited of Cindy, and it was a shock to see how amazing they looked.
So how long were you on the Disney lot before you started shooting?
Oh, at least 6 months for all sorts of tests.
I don't think that I've ever seen pictures of my dad actually directing Tron on the stage, stage 4 at Disney. I've been with my dad on the Disney lot many times, and we always go over and look at stage 4, and he tells stories.
I'd get to the stage every morning at about 8 o'clock and get home at about 11 o'clock. Your mom would drive me home and bring dinner, and I'd eat dinner in the car ride home. We were under time restraints because there was a looming strike. They never did, but we used to shoot 13 days in a row,
Oh, wow.
which was the legal limit, and then we got one Sunday off. So
That's pretty intense.
yeah, we got pretty used to living on stage 4.
And I remember you telling the story of how much power you ended up using to light the stage.
Yeah, at one point we blew the fuses on the city of Burbank. I didn't believe it, but there was a brownout on the stage, and then somebody was knocking on the door and saying, the city of Burbank has just called. We've blown the fuses on the whole city. So then we had to get all these generator trucks. You know, it was strange to be on this all-black stage with the actors, but in another sense, it was sort of Shakespearean. You know, it was very theatrical and traditional to be on this black stage with a spotlight on them.
Right.
And even in a way to be wearing these classical
Shakespearean leotard,
yeah.
kind of, yeah.
So you know, it was strange, but it wasn't. It still felt right in a way. Here's Jeff at Lawrence Livermore. Jeff Bridges, the dude running through the world's most powerful laser. Oh, and that's a funny story in and of itself, because when I was working on the script, we were trying to figure out how are we going to get Jeff into cyberspace. And I thought, I know, we'll scan him with a laser beam, and then he'll end up in cyberspace. And I made it up. And then we do Tron Legacy, and how do we get him in cyberspace? We actually really do scan Jeff now with a laser.
And he shows up on
And
the
he shows
screen.
up on the monitor. So,
So this was the laser lab in the film, but
Yeah.
what was the actual purpose of this lab?
I think it was part of Lawrence Livermore's quest to create energy through lasers.
Oh, it really was a laser facility.
Yes, it really was the world's most powerful laser.
Like when you look at these pictures of yourself on this set and stuff, did you realize what was going on?
It was very much experimental filmmaking. I mean, we were keenly aware of the fact that we were going past where people normally go
Right.
with cinema. But some of the old timers at Disney came up to me and said that made it feel the way it used to feel when Walt was around.
Right.
And that the mistake is that people think that back in the old days, they always knew where they were going exactly, and it was so pre-planned. And it turned out they were always pushing their artists to the limit all the time.
It was totally experimental.
Yeah.
Did people treat you like, oh, this is a young first-time director?
Yes, certainly. And we, brought computers to the studio, not just in story, but in terms of computer animation. And at the time, computers were considered the threat. People didn't know that they were going to end up embracing computers and needing them just to,
It's hard to even think about that now because it seems so inevitable. But I guess at the time, it really didn't feel inevitable.
Exactly. And again, it represents change, and people are slow to change. It takes a generational shift.
Looking back on the state of where this digital technology was, both the CGI and then just the computers in general, did things progress faster than you thought it was going to be? Was it slower than you thought?
It was in some ways slower. I think that your generation has now become digital natives.
Right.
And I have a feeling about cyberspace that, we're asking the next generation and the future generations to grow up in cyberspace and work in that digital realm. So what we put in there really does matter. And it's a real issue because I think part of what brings out the best in human beings are those things that remain mysteries.
Right.
And if you try to make your entire life cyber, you run the risk of sort of turning yourself into a program instead of a user, and you also end up treating other people like programs instead of users. And
I really have a sense looking at the pictures that I'm approaching the age that he was when he first made the movie, and it's still almost incomprehensible to me to undertake something that ended up being one of the most influential films of all time. It's inspiring as an achievement for somebody so young.
Look at that briefcase, how beat that is.
I feel like I really don't have any excuses to not try to do something that's audacious in that way.
Tron Legacy is a story about whether we're going to pass on the best we've gotten ourselves to the next generation and what that's going to be. Is it going to be us? Is it going to be time spent with our kids or with our technology? I love Carl dearly, and I like to think that as great as it has been to share all things Tron with Carl, it's the time together, talking and experiencing each other's feelings about life that means the most to me.